Welcome back to Dragon Podcast, your weekly dive into the darker corners and hidden corners of the film world. Today we're scouring the independent film scene for the week's biggest stories, the breakthroughs, the trends, and the tales we don't always hear in the mainstream. Let's slink into the shadows and see what's happening in indie cinema. This week in indie film we highlight Good Boy breaks out with viral trailer momentum. One of the standout stories this week is Good Boy, an indie horror film told from the viewpoint of a loyal dog trying to protect its owner from malevolent supernatural forces. Its trailer recently hit over 1 million views in just 4 days, prompting IFC to expand its theatrical release beyond its original limited run. It's a clever twist, horror from a vantage point we don't often get, and it's proving that strong storytelling and viral buzz can translate into real box office opportunity for indies. The London Film Festival opens with Knives Out 3. The 69th BFI London Film Festival kicked off in style with the premiere of Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. While not strictly an indie film, its darker, more gothic tone this time around is interesting to watch. It signals how even bigger productions are leaning into genre, tone, and daring visuals that often find their roots in the indie realm. The passing of a legend, Toby Talbot. This week the film world also paused for the passing of Toby Talbot, aged 96, a pioneering figure in art house and independent cinema. Alongside her husband, Dan Talbot, she championed international and experimental cinema through distribution and exhibition, elevating voices often ignored by mainstream channels. Her legacy is a reminder of how critical infrastructure, theaters, distributors, risk-takers, is to keeping indie stories alive. UK indie scene and production moves. From the UK front, Screen Daily reports that recent shifts in tax incentive policy and production financing are stirring debate among indie producers who feel squeezed by rising costs and tightening margins. Meanwhile, there's also news of Good Boy being picked up for the UK-Ireland market ahead of festival showings, further highlighting how global momentum can bolster local distribution. Festivals and the next wave. In Reading, the Through a Different Lens Film Festival returns this November at the Biscuit Factory, showcasing underrepresented and local voices from across the UK. And in horror-specific indie activism, the Glowflare Horror Film Festival in Yorkshire continues to establish itself as a platform for emerging talent in the UK horror genre. These smaller festivals are lifelines for filmmakers who want eyeballs, community, and a step toward bigger exposure. What I'm watching right now is how story originality plus smart marketing can change the game. Good Boy proves you don't need a massive budget to make noise. If your concept is clever and your trailer hooks people, you can leverage that into distribution. That's something we should all keep in mind as creators. Also, the festival circuit remains crucial. As the market tightens, festivals like Through a Different Lens and Glowflare become more than showcases. They become strategic nodes for networking, press, and future opportunity. And finally, we should never forget the backbone figures like Micro-budget film news highlights. Bert, made in 7 days, $7,000 budget. One of the more striking stories out this week. Filmmakers Joe Burke and Oliver Cooper completed their feature, Bert, with a mere $7,000 budget over just 7 days, reported in the Los Angeles Times. They're handling distribution independently, no major studio backing yet, showing what pure grit and resourcefulness can accomplish in today's indie space. New micro-budget support in Durban. The Durban Film Office in South Africa has officially opened its 2025/2026 Micro-Budget Film Fund and Development Fund submissions. Durban Film Office. Emerging filmmakers in the region can apply for grants. 3 feature-length projects will receive 350,000 Rand each. A clear signal that local governments are doubling down on supporting grassroots cinema. Reported from the Durban Film Office, Biennale College Cinema opens calls for micro-projects. The Biennale College Cinema, the Venice-linked initiative, is inviting international teams to pitch micro-budget feature works. Selected projects will be developed via a 10-day workshop and ongoing mentorship. Reported from La Biennale di Venezia, it's a rare institutional platform where ultra-low-budget creators can gain access to festival circuits, production advice, and networking that's usually reserved for more well-financed films. Diced, Reloaded, micro-horror gets expanded release. The slasher film Diced, Reloaded, an expanded version of a prior micro-budget horror, secured limited theatrical release followed by VOD distribution. It's an example of a micro-project being retooled and scaled just enough to access traditional release windows while retaining its indie spirit. Dead Lover, under $350,000, premiered at Sundance. Shot in 16mm over 16 days, Dead Lover came in under $350,000 and premiered in the midnight section at the 2025 Sundance Film Festival. It blends horror, romance, and surrealism, a good example of how micro-budgets can still be ambitious in tone and aesthetic. Micro-budget trends. Speed plus lean crews equals possibility. Burt proves that, with the right planning and focus, you can make a feature in minimal time and money. The trick is narrowing scope, trusting your core team, and embracing constraints. Local funding is vital. Durban's program shows that micro-filmmakers don't always have to scramble for private backing. There can be institutional support if you're in the right geography. Hybrid release strategies are evolving. Expanding and reworking microfilms, like Diced, Reloaded, for theatrical and VOD windows could be a template for stretching reach without losing control. Festivals and incubators are still gatekeepers, but also opportunity. Programs like Biennale College give creators with very little backing a chance to work with mentors, access advice, and plug into festival circuits. Ambitious aesthetics on humble budgets. Dead Lover shows that even with tight budgets, shooting film, embracing practical effects, and bold creative choices can yield work that gets festival attention. That's a wrap for this week's Indie Film News Roundup. If you liked today's episode, please rate and review us on your chosen podcast platform. It helps more independent voices get heard. And as always, keep your lights dim, your stories bold, and your monsters vivid. Until next time, this is DRagonPODCAST, signing off.